according to statistics, those aged between 15 to 35 account for 63% of the population. So when the country's economic troubles worsen, the youth bear a disproportionate burden. And as we approach the 2024 elections, the Weekend Report has established a political platform for youth leaders to offer their perspectives on the difficulties confronting the young majority and to engage in debates about how they envision South Africa's future. And we are joined by Bafana Tshabalala from the African Transformation Movement youth leader. We were also supposed to be joined by the youth leader of the Inkatha Freedom Party, but unfortunately he didn't make it. So we hope that he is okay out there in the streets. So I guess it's just a discussion between you and I.
Yes.
Thank you so much for showing up and welcome to the show. First and foremost, ATM is a faith-based party. Is South Africa and are the youth ready for a faith-based party? And also, just for clarity, is this a niche party, for instance? In this case, does it target specifically the Christian population?
Good morning to your viewers, and thank you for having us. African Transformation Movement is a faith-based organization. It does not focus on religion, but it focuses on all faith-based organization. That is different categories of religion, but also we also have traditional healers. Yes, we definitely need, as the youth, a faith-based organization in the political space, because one of the biggest reasons that we have in the country is moral decay, and faith is the only compass that can return that moral capacity within our people. And typical example, that is why you'd find an 18-year-old boy raping a 98-year-old grandmother. It goes to show that there's a lack of moral capacity within our individuals in the society.
Now, this week we've seen a lot of frustration amongst young people, particularly students, especially with the mismanagement happening at NSFAS, and recently with the minister having dissolved the board of NSFAS, and really young people really struggling when it comes to issues around especially higher education in South Africa. What's your plan to remedy this?
The instability in our processes and by the government affect the very vulnerable people in our community. For example, the instability in NSFAS, it's affecting students who desperately need funds to advance their education. As the ATM, we are saying we want a proper functioning state of higher education. We want free, decolonized and quality education. In that, we are saying every child in South Africa must have access to higher education for free. Once you say things are free, people automatically think mediocre and substandard. But what we are saying is that we can still provide a quality education, but free for all South Africans, ensuring that it also addresses the skills need that the country has, because we cannot be producing graduates that are unemployable and also producing graduates that cannot participate in the economy.
And in that regard, I mean, let's talk about especially the graduates who are sitting at home watching this right now, who have no jobs. What is the strategy that you have as ATM to address these? More in particular, you know, when it comes to the implementation of these promises, essentially.
So as the African Transformation Movement, we have a multi-pronged approach. In that, one, we are saying we want all the jobs in South Africa to be for exclusive use of South Africans. So we are saying put South Africans first. Do not give a job to a foreign national. That can be done by a South African. And whenever we say this stance, people automatically think we mean foreigners, it's Africans only. We also mean executives in high positions. For example, Hawaii had their management comprising of Chinese only. We are saying those spaces can be occupied by South Africans, and we need those jobs to be reserved for South Africans. And we are also saying all the entry-level jobs must be reserved for South Africans. And if a company hires a foreign national, they must prove beyond reasonable doubt that no South African is capable to provide that skill. And if there is no such, a South African can provide a skill, let that job be reserved for a South African.
Tell me about some of the activations that are taking place on the ground as the youth leader of ATM.
We are on the ground on a daily basis. After here, we are going again. I'll be in Eastern. But what we are finding as the youth in particular is that the youth is hopeless. The youth, the political apathy does not only come from the fact that we don't have participation of the youth in the politics, but also it comes from the disappointment of the government that has done to our people, the lack of activities and programs that are activating the youth, the lack of participation from and kickstarting programs that ensures that the youth becomes participants in the economy has resulted in our people being disgruntled, has resulted in the youth being reluctant to even participate in the elections. So as we are going out, we are encouraging all the youth in South Africa to say on the 29th of May, they must go out to vote, but not only to vote, but to vote for the African Transformation Movement.
Why should young people vote, and why should they vote for you?
Why should young people vote? A typical example from the previous polls or the previous elections. 10 million youth in South Africa did not vote, and the ANC is in government because of 10 million votes. Meaning the youth in 2019, had they voted and voted for their own party, they would be in government and running this country. So number one, that is why it's important to vote. But why is it important to vote for the African Transformation Movement is because as the ATM we are saying we want to transform the economy. We are saying we want not only to produce job seekers, but we want to produce job creators. We want to reindustrialize the economy by opening and reopening factories. We are saying we want a farming revolution. In every district where there is arable land, we are saying there must be a farm. We have land and people are already farming. However, our government is not doing enough in ensuring that the youth becomes participants in those farms. But lastly, we are also saying we want to nationalize mines because the mines belong to the state. The mines must benefit the people who live next to the mines. We cannot have people in Khumalo not benefiting from the coal that they produce in their own province. And this is why we should vote ATM.
Bafana, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you for having us.
That was Bafana Tshabalala from the African Transformation Movement. He is a youth leader of the party.